Perfection is the illusion that keeps countless people frozen, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect version of themselves before they dare to take a step forward. But progress, real, steady, imperfect progress, is what changes lives. When you focus on progress instead of perfection, you free yourself from the weight of unrealistic expectations and allow yourself to grow, learn, and evolve at a pace that's real and sustainable. Progress isn't glamorous, it's not flawless, it's messy, uncomfortable, and sometimes even frustrating, but it's honest, it's powerful, it's the force that transforms your potential into your reality. When you shift your focus to progress, you stop worrying about being flawless and start caring about becoming better. You stop obsessing over the outcome and start appreciating the journey. Every step you take, no matter how small, becomes a victory because you know you're moving forward. You begin to understand that the goal isn't to be perfect. It's to be consistent, committed, and courageous enough to keep improving. The real magic happens in those small improvements, the ones you barely notice day by day, but one day look back on and realize how far you've come. Perfection creates pressure. Progress creates freedom. Perfection whispers that you're not ready yet, that you need to wait, that you need to be more, do more, become more before you begin. Progress tells you to start where you are, with what you have, and grow from there. Perfection paralyzes you with fear of failure. Progress encourages you to use failure as fuel. When you choose progress, failure is not a sign to quit. It's a sign you're in motion, you're learning, you're alive in the process of becoming something greater than you were yesterday. There's a quiet power in progress. It teaches patience, it teaches resilience, it teaches you to embrace the process instead of fixating on the finish line. When you commit to progress, you start valuing effort over excuses and action over avoidance. You begin to celebrate the small wins, the habits you build, the discipline you strengthen, the improvements you make that nobody else may notice but you. Those small wins stack up, they compound. They create momentum that perfection could never give you because perfection demands everything at once, while progress builds everything over time. When you focus on progress, you discover parts of yourself you didn't know existed. You find strength in places you once doubted. You find confidence in actions you once avoided. You find clarity in movement, not in hesitation. Progress allows you to grow into the person who can handle the success you're building toward. It molds you, shapes you, refines you. Perfection only wants the final product, but progress cares about who you become along the way. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to be flawless. You don't need to compare your journey to anyone else's. You only need to commit to taking one more step, one more attempt, one more moment of effort where you choose growth over fear. Because the truth is, perfection is not the requirement for success. Perseverance is. Improvement is. Effort is. You don't rise by being perfect. You rise by being persistent. The world doesn't reward the perfect. It rewards the bold, the consistent, the ones who show up even when they're uncertain, even when the path is blurry, even when the results are slow. Those are the people who build something real. Those are the people who transform dreams into achievements. And it all begins with a simple decision: to move, to try, to grow, to progress. So release the pressure of perfection. Let go of the idea that you must get everything right. Focus instead on getting better. Focus on learning. Focus on showing up again and again with determination and heart. Every imperfect step forward is still a step forward. Every piece of progress, no matter how small, is evidence that you're becoming stronger, wiser, more capable. Your journey is not about being perfect. It's about becoming your best self through steady, unstoppable progress. Keep going, keep evolving, keep rising. Perfection may be impossible, but progress is always within your reach. Progress is more powerful than perfection because progress allows you to move, evolve, and grow, while perfection keeps you stuck in hesitation, fear, and self-doubt. Progress is real. It's tangible. You can feel it, measure it, and build on it. Perfection, on the other hand, is an illusion, an unreachable standard that convinces you to delay your efforts until everything is flawless. When you choose progress, you choose action. When you chase perfection, you choose paralysis. And in the long run, the person who takes imperfect steps will always outgrow the person who waits for the perfect moment that never comes. Progress matters because it compounds over time. A small improvement today becomes the foundation for a bigger improvement tomorrow. You learn something, adjust something, and suddenly the path becomes clearer. You begin to see how one small action builds into another, creating a rhythm that moves you forward. The power of progress lies in its ability to accumulate silently. You may not notice the change day by day, but over weeks, months, and years, those tiny steps create results you never imagined. Perfection doesn't allow room for this kind of growth. It demands the whole mountain at once. ignoring the truth that mountains are climbed one step at a time. Progress also opens the door to learning, and learning is the real engine of transformation. When you focus on progress, you give yourself permission to experiment, to try, to fail, and to improve. You begin to see mistakes not as proof of inadequacy, but as valuable information guiding you toward a better version of your effort. Every attempt teaches you something. Every setback sharpens your understanding. Progress thrives on learning, while perfection fears it. Perfection hates failure. Progress uses it. And because progress uses everything, wins, losses, setbacks, breakthroughs, it becomes a more reliable and powerful force for change. Progress is also more sustainable than perfection. Perfection is exhausting. It drains your energy by making every task feel like a test you must ace. It makes you overthink, overplan, and overjudge your actions. Progress, however, feels achievable. It's built on manageable steps, doable improvements, and realistic expectations. Instead of trying to be flawless, you simply try to be better than yesterday. That mindset relieves pressure and replaces it with motivation. You stop worrying about achieving everything at once and instead commit to steady, consistent forward movement. That consistency becomes a source of strength, discipline, and resilience. Another reason progress is more powerful than perfection is that progress builds confidence. Every time you take action, you earn a small win. Every win, no matter how small, reinforces the belief that you are capable of growth. Confidence isn't built from perfection, it's built from evidence. And progress gives you evidence. The moment you realize you can improve, you start trusting yourself more. You begin to see possibilities. You start believing that effort leads somewhere meaningful. This belief fuels momentum. Perfection, however, destroys confidence because it focuses your attention only on what you're not yet capable of. It makes you forget the progress you've made and blinds you to the progress you could make if you simply kept going. Progress is powerful because it keeps you in motion, and motion is essential for change. You cannot create a new life by staying still. You cannot reach new goals by overthinking them. You need movement, steps, action, attempts, repetition. Progress encourages motion even when you don't feel ready. It reminds you that starting small is still starting. It tells you that imperfect effort still counts. Once you're in motion, momentum starts to build. Suddenly taking the next step becomes easier. Momentum is one of the strongest forces you can have on your side, and progress is what creates it. Perfection never creates momentum because it demands everything to be right before you begin. Progress also frees you from comparison. Perfection constantly makes you compare yourself to others because it demands the best, the highest, the flawless. But progress focuses only on your own path. Progress asks, are you better than yesterday? Not, are you better than everyone else? This shift in focus becomes liberating. It allows you to grow without feeling inadequate. It allows you to move at your own pace. It allows you to celebrate your journey rather than diminishing it because someone else is ahead. Progress personalizes the journey. Perfection contaminates it with insecurity. There's also a deeper strength in progress. It teaches patience. When you pursue progress, you learn to value the process rather than obsess over the outcome. You grow more patient with yourself, more understanding of your timeline, more accepting of the ups and downs that come with any meaningful pursuit. You learn to endure the slow days, the quiet days, the days where nothing seems to be happening. This patience becomes a huge advantage because meaningful success rarely arrives quickly. It's built through long-term commitment, long-term effort, and long-term belief. Perfection has no patience. It wants everything now. Progress embraces the journey. Ultimately, progress is more powerful than perfection because progress leads to transformation. You become stronger, wiser, more disciplined, and more capable every time you take a step forward. Your identity changes, your habits change, your mindset changes. You grow into someone who doesn't need perfection to succeed because you've learned that progress is enough to move mountains. Progress is what turns ordinary efforts into extraordinary results. Perfection only traps you in a cycle of waiting. Choose progress because progress will take you further than perfection ever could. Keep moving. Keep improving. Keep rising. The imperfect steps you take today will become the powerful results you achieve tomorrow. Perfection creates pressure, while progress creates freedom, because perfection demands that everything be flawless before you begin, while progress simply asks that you move. Perfection traps you in a rigid, unforgiving standard, a standard so high that even starting feels overwhelming. It makes every decision feel heavy, every attempt feel risky, and every mistake feel like a personal failure. The pressure of perfection weighs on your mind, tightens your chest, and convinces you that nothing you do is ever enough. It turns goals into burdens and dreams into impossible expectations. But progress, on the other hand, invites you to breathe. It gives you room to grow. It gives you permission to learn, to try, to stumble, and to rise again without shame. Progress offers freedom because it measures success by movement, not flawlessness. Perfection creates a mental cage. It whispers that anything less than perfect is worthless, so you delay, postpone, procrastinate, and wait for the impossible moment when everything aligns. You become afraid to take action because you fear being judged, making a mistake, or producing something that doesn't meet the ideal image in your mind. This pressure freezes your creativity, your motivation, and even your courage. Instead of feeling empowered, you feel restricted. Instead of feeling inspired, you feel inadequate. And the more pressure you feel, the harder it becomes to move forward. Perfection forces you into constant self-criticism, stripping away your joy, your enthusiasm, and your willingness to experiment. Progress works differently. It liberates you from the mental chains of unrealistic expectations. When you choose progress, you stop chasing the illusion of flawlessness and start focusing on genuine improvement. Progress allows you to take small steps without judgment. It gives you space to breathe, space to grow, space to be human. It frees you from the need to have everything figured out. You understand that one step forward, no matter how imperfect, still moves you closer to your goal. This freedom creates energy instead of pressure, motivation instead of fear, excitement instead of paralysis. Progress replaces the heavy weight of I must be perfect with the empowering thought of I am becoming better. Perfection suffocates creativity because it demands that every idea be extraordinary before it's even explored. It stops you from expressing yourself fully because you're too afraid of doing it wrong. You end up silencing your own potential, shutting down your own ideas, and shrinking your possibilities. Progress, however, fuels creativity. It gives you permission to brainstorm, experiment, and try things without fearing the outcome. That freedom invites innovation. It encourages you to step outside your comfort zone. It helps you discover new skills, new approaches, and new strengths you wouldn't have found if you were focused on being perfect. Perfection also creates emotional pressure. It makes you feel like your worth is attached to your results rather than your effort. If you make a mistake, you feel ashamed. If you fall short, you feel defeated. This emotional weight is heavy and exhausting, draining your self-esteem and turning growth into something stressful rather than empowering. Progress lifts that weight. It separates your worth from your outcomes. It reminds you that mistakes are normal, setbacks are temporary, and effort is something to be proud of. Instead of feeling defeated by imperfection, you feel encouraged by each small victory. This emotional freedom builds confidence, resilience, and self-love, qualities perfection could never give you. Perfection creates pressure because it doesn't tolerate the messy parts of growth. It doesn't allow patience. It doesn't allow stumbling. It doesn't allow evolution. It wants the finish line without the journey, the result without the process. And because perfection is impossible, the pressure never ends. Progress welcomes the messiness of growth. It understands that learning takes time. It respects the slow days. It embraces the setbacks. Progress is compassionate. It gives you room to evolve without punishing you for being imperfect along the way. That compassion becomes freedom, the freedom to grow without guilt, to try without fear, and to keep going without shame. Another reason progress creates freedom is that it builds momentum. When you remove the pressure of perfection, you open the door to consistent action. Consistent action creates movement, and movement creates results. Instead of being stuck in endless planning, you start doing. Instead of questioning every step, you start taking steps. And with each step, your confidence grows. That confidence becomes fuel. You no longer feel weighed down by the need to get it right. Instead, you feel empowered by the belief that you can keep improving. Momentum frees you from hesitation, doubt, and overthinking, allowing you to move forward with clarity and purpose. Perfection tells you that success is a single moment of flawless achievement. Progress teaches you that success is the accumulation of imperfect efforts that build greatness over time. Perfection focuses on the impossible. Progress focuses on the attainable. Perfection keeps you stuck at the starting line. Progress walks with you every step of the journey. And that journey, messy, brave, imperfect, is where transformation happens. The truth is, perfection is not the path to success. Progress is. Progress gives you the freedom to start, the freedom to learn, the freedom to grow, and the freedom to evolve into the strongest version of yourself. When you release the pressure of perfection, you reclaim your power. And with that power, you become unstoppable. Imperfection is part of the journey, woven into every step you take toward becoming the person you're meant to be. It's not a flaw in the process, it is the process. The path to any meaningful goal is filled with uneven steps, wrong turns, lessons learned the hard way, and moments when you question whether you're capable of going any further. But those moments are not signs of failure, they're indicators of growth. The truth is, no great achievement has ever been the result of a flawless journey. Growth is messy, progress is uneven, transformation is born from trial and error, not from getting everything right on the first try. When you accept imperfection as a natural part of your path, you release yourself from the heavy burden of trying to look strong, capable, or certain at all times. You no longer hide from your mistakes or fear them. Instead, you begin to see them for what they really are, sources of wisdom, direction, and resilience. Every misstep reveals something, a skill you need to sharpen, a mindset you need to shift, or a pattern you need to break. Rather than stopping you, these imperfect moments illuminate the way forward and empower you to grow in ways you didn't expect. Imperfection is where you learn how to adapt. When things don't go according to plan, you're forced to rethink your approach, to experiment with new strategies, or to strengthen your discipline. These moments of recalibration build mental flexibility, the kind that allows you to navigate challenges without breaking. If the journey were perfect, you would never develop that adaptability. You would never learn to problem solve, to handle pressure, or to stay calm in the face of uncertainty. You'd simply walk a smooth road, and smooth roads don't produce strong travelers. And the truth is, imperfection gives your journey its shape and story. If everything unfolded exactly the way you expected, achieving the goal would feel empty. There would be no victory in it, no meaning, no depth. It's the stumbles, the doubts, the unexpected detours that make reaching the finish line powerful. You appreciate success more deeply when you've endured the chaos it took to get there. You value your strength more when you've experienced moments where you felt anything but strong. You feel pride not because you were perfect, but because you kept going through every imperfect moment that tried to stop you. Imperfection also makes you relatable and human. When you try to be perfect, you isolate yourself behind a wall of unrealistic expectations. You begin comparing your life to others' highlight reels, forgetting that every person you admire has their own struggles, doubts, and imperfect chapters. But when you embrace the truth that imperfection is universal, you stop feeling alone in your challenges. You understand that every person who succeeds has failed, adjusted, and tried again hundreds or even thousands of times. You realize that you're not behind. You're simply in the middle of your journey just like everyone else. There's freedom in that realization. You stop expecting yourself to know everything from the start. You stop judging yourself for not being further along. You stop demanding perfection from a process that was never designed to be perfect in the first place. Instead, you give yourself permission to learn at your own pace, to grow through effort rather than pressure, and to build momentum without the fear of making mistakes. And as you release the fear of imperfection, you gain the courage to take action. You begin trying new things without worrying about being judged. You step into opportunities without doubting your capability. You take risks that once scared you because you finally see that an imperfect attempt is always better than a perfect intention. Imperfection builds character. It humbles you, teaches you patience, and shapes your mindset. It shows you what you truly want and forces you to fight for it. It pushes you to become more resilient, more disciplined, and more aware of your own potential. It helps you discover strengths you didn't know you had and weaknesses you didn't know you needed to improve. Every imperfect step gives you a deeper understanding of yourself, your limits, your possibilities, and your capacity to overcome challenges. And over time, something remarkable happens. The very imperfections you once tried to hide become the foundation of your strength. The mistakes become lessons you're grateful for. The setbacks become fuel. The moments you once viewed as failures become the stepping stones that carried you further than perfection ever could. You begin to see your path not as a series of obstacles, but as a personal training ground where every experience is shaping you into someone capable of reaching the highest level of your goals. So, embrace the imperfections. Let them guide you instead of discourage you. Let them remind you that growth is happening, even if you can't see it yet. Let them give you the courage to take another step, even if it's not perfect. Imperfection is not the enemy of success. It is the doorway to it. Every step you take, no matter how uneven, is progress, and progress will always take you further than perfection ever will. Success comes from persistence, not flawlessness. It's not the person who gets everything right from the beginning who rises to the top. It's the one who refuses to quit, the one who keeps showing up even when progress feels slow, messy, or invisible. There's a misconception that success belongs to those who operate with perfection in every step, but in reality, success belongs to the ones who push through imperfections, setbacks, and failures with unwavering determination. Persistence is the force that turns effort into achievement, consistency into transformation, and dreams into reality. It is the quiet, steady commitment that outperforms talent, outlasts doubt, and overpowers every obstacle standing in the way. The truth is, flawlessness is an illusion that shuts people down before they even start. When you expect yourself to be perfect, you hesitate, you overthink, and you avoid taking action. But persistence frees you from that pressure. It gives you permission to move forward imperfectly, to take small steps, to make mistakes, and to keep adjusting along the journey. When you rely on persistence instead of perfection, you shift your focus from getting every step right to making every step count. And that shift is what drives long-term success. You stop judging yourself for not being perfect and start applauding yourself for not giving up. Every person who has reached a significant level of success has walked through moments of uncertainty, self-doubt, and difficulty. They made mistakes, they failed, they stumbled, but they kept going. What separated them from those who quit wasn't a flawless performance. It was an unshakable commitment to keep moving no matter how many times they had to start again. Persistence means choosing the long game. It means showing up on the days you feel inspired and on the days you feel exhausted. It means trusting the process even when the results haven't shown up yet. It means believing in your potential long before you have anything to prove it. And the powerful thing about persistence is that it compounds. Every day you push forward, no matter how imperfectly, you strengthen your resilience, your skills, and your momentum. You build habits that support your growth. You develop mastery through repetition. You cultivate a mindset that refuses to accept defeat. While perfection pressures you to maintain a spotless record, persistence rewards you for effort, grit, and courage. Over time, those small, persistent efforts begin to stack up. What once felt impossible becomes familiar. What once felt difficult becomes easier. What once seemed out of reach moves closer and closer until it becomes part of your reality. Persistence also rewires how you interpret failure. Instead of seeing it as a sign to stop, you learn to see it as a signal to adjust. Instead of letting setbacks crush your confidence, you let them sharpen your strategy. Instead of taking mistakes personally, you analyze them and grow from them. Persistence turns every mistake into data, every setback into fuel, and every challenge into strength. It teaches you to work smarter, not just harder. It shows you that the goal is never to avoid falling. It's to rise every time you do. There's a kind of quiet power in knowing that perfection isn't required for success. It takes the pressure off your shoulders and puts the responsibility back into your hands. You no longer wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. You stop trying to control every outcome. Instead, you focus on what truly matters, taking consistent action, learning from every experience, and refusing to quit when things get hard. Persistence builds a foundation stronger than perfection ever could because it's real, it's human, it's stable, and it's sustainable. Success does not happen in straight lines. It happens in cycles, seasons, and stages. Some days you move forward quickly. Other days you take small, careful steps. And some days you simply hold your ground. But persistence means you do not walk away. You honor the journey by continuing to show up. You honor your goals by continuing to pursue them. You honor your future self by not letting temporary discomfort dictate your long-term destiny. When you rely on persistence, you develop a sense of inner strength that perfection cannot provide. You learn that you don't need to be flawless to be powerful. You don't need to know everything to begin. You don't need to have every detail figured out to make meaningful progress. You simply need to be willing to keep going. Persistence is the ultimate equalizer because it belongs to anyone willing to commit, to anyone willing to try again and again and again until the breakthrough finally arrives. So let success be the reward for your perseverance, not your perfection. Let your imperfect steps carry you forward. Let your determination speak louder than your doubts. Let your resilience become your advantage. Every time you choose persistence over perfection, you strengthen your path forward. Every time you refuse to quit, you move closer to the outcome that once felt impossible. Success is not a reward for those who never fall. It is a victory for those who refuse to stay down. And as long as you keep showing up, as long as you keep taking action, as long as you keep believing in the journey, success will eventually meet you where your persistence leads you.